The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, here they come. Welcome to the webinar, folks. This is Jason from RTV, and summer's coming to a close, but I'm still holding on. I'm still holding on that we're going to have a few more 80, 90-degree days, and it may or may not happen, but I'm hoping for it up here in beautiful northern Michigan before the trees start to change colors, and we get that final push, and everybody orders their last little bit of photography services before the decorations come out and before the snow starts to fly. That is what it's like up here in the fall, and we're so close. We're on the precipice of fall, folks. We've got a lot of people on the show tonight, and I'm so happy that you guys could be here because once again the FAA twists and tangles and turns and careens in another direction, and they called it 107. Welcome to the formula, and very happy to be here tonight, you guys. This is a very, very good show, and I'm still watching people come in, so we're gonna kind of sit tight here for a minute while everybody else gets in. And as far as updates, this is going to be a 1-hour show. We've got you guys know that we are very close to launching the new RTV mobile / online player. It'll be one player, a responsive player. Keep your eyes out for that. Tom's also working really hard to. We gave him a nice hit list to work on, and so you're going to see some cool stuff here. In the short term, and especially that player, it's breathing heavy, and I'm definitely one of you that can't wait to see it. Okay, we're going to get things started. I would like to first and foremost welcome, before we go to the polls here tonight, I'd like to welcome Alan Perlman to the show. Welcome, Alan. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to talking drones.
Well, you are the expert. You are the UAV coach master, and that's why we have you here this evening. A lot of talk about the 107, the 333, the waivers. What do I do? Should I get in? Should I go, or should I stay? Let's take it to the polls and see what everyone here tonight on the show has to say. Let me see here. Let's launch our first poll. Oh, heaven for Betsy. I didn't do a sound check. How am I sounding, team? How am I sounding? Everything good? Great. Loud and proud. Love that. I'm going to use that, Phil. I like that. That's great. That's great. Everybody see my screen okay? Everybody visuals good? Okay, nice and pretty. Thank you. I don't even have a picture of me. If you're talking about this young lady right here, I'm sure. Okay, let's launch the polls, and we'll knock it out of the park here, folks. Let's do, see if we can launch this first one here. Do you currently offer aerial drone photography or video? Do you currently offer aerial drone photography or video? Wow, look at this. It is a 50-50 split. 75% of you have voted. It's 53 yes, 47 no. This is interesting. I did not expect this. I expected much higher on the yes. 52 yes, 48 no, 47 no, 53 yes, 85. Come on, looking for that last 15% of you. Cast a vote. If you're breathing on the other line, listening to this, cast a vote. If you're driving, just stay focused on driving. Believe it or not, some people do travel and listen to our webinars. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to close that poll out. And let's share that. 53% say yes, I offer. 47 no. Well, you came to the right show. That's awesome. Of that 53%, I'd like to know, are there others for all of you? Are there others in your area currently offering aerial drone photos and videos to your customer base? Are there others in your area currently offering this to your customer base? Let's find out. Let's find out. We still got the air conditioner running in the background. If you hear that, I apologize. It's hot up here. It is hot, hot, hot. Let me see what we got here. It is, 65 and nice. But you know what happens to Michiganders after 55 degrees, 60 degrees? We start to melt. Okay, I've got 82% of you are saying yes, 17 no. Come on, 85. Can we breach the 85 tonight? 85. What? 15% are asleep at the mouse. 86. We did it. Okay, let's close that poll. So there are. Let me share that with you guys. This is great. 82. Yeah, there's people in my area offering this service to my customers, and that was the important part of that question, is to your customer base. No, those 18% said no, there's not. And we'll close that one down. Did you apply for your 333 waiver? And this was probably a nightmare for many of you, as it ended up being for not necessarily me, but secondhand, it was a nightmare for me as well, the 333 altogether. 81% no, 20% yes. All right, 81. We're going to stop this one at about 86. 86%. There's a couple more of you left to vote. 84. Here we go. Come on. 1, 2. Vote, vote. All right, 85. We'll close it down. And 3, 2, 1. Closing that one down. Got 86% of you voting out there. That's good. So 19% of you have your waiver, or applied for the waiver, and most of you on the show did not apply. Okay, very difficult process. Lots of regulation, lots and lots of regulation. Okay, so out of that small percentage, that 19%, do you have your waiver? Do you have your waiver? If you applied, do you have it? Okay. And we have, and I added 3 choices to this one. You'll see it's yes, no, and waiting, waiting, waiting. And unfortunately, I think Alan's going to have some information I've heard through the grapevine about those waiting. I definitely have on my list to ask what's up with that tonight. I have a boatload of questions for him because I don't know. So, and I have asked lots and lots of RTV providers, but it'd be nice to find out the real answer. Okay, I'm going to close this. 46%, low voter turnout. Everybody ran for a snack. All right, 8% yes, 73 no, 18% waiting. I'm closing this poll in 3, 2, 1. Low voter turnout. Low voter turnout. 50% of you voted on that one. Okay, so yeah, so very small amount, but we had a small amount that had the waiver to begin with, and of that small amount, 20% are still waiting for that waiver to come in. Last question of the night: do you plan on attempting your 107 certification process in the next month? Do you plan on attempting your 107 certification in the next month? And 69%, huge voter turnout. 83% yes, 20% no, 79, 21. We're up to 84%. Come on, get off the couch and grab that mouse, click her down, and let's see what you have to think about this question. 78% yes, 22% no. We're stopping the polls at 86. Can I get one more vote? The answer is no. Again, 86% voted on that one. So that's pretty good. 78% of you here tonight are here because the show actually is talking about something you want to do. So that's good that you're here. 22 are not, but maybe came to learn about, you have your 333, like you're in the same boat that I'm in, and I want to know what should I do, because I actually have 2 pilots working for Blue Lava Media, and I am definitely curious. What do I need to do with my company? So, well, without examining the polls, polls are off. We're good there. Okay, Alan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let me bring up your website here so we can see what we got. You want me to bring up UAV Coach, or do you want me to bring up the drone certification?
UAV Coach is perfect.
Okay, bringing that up, and it starts to look like with a survey kind of thing. Okay, there we go. Sweet. All right, so Alan, tell us, Alan Perlman from UAV Coach, ladies and gentlemen. Alan, history, bio, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into all this fun stuff.
Very cool. So first, thank you so much for having me on this webinar. You bring a lot of energy to the table, just hearing you talk over the last couple of minutes. So I promise I'll try and keep it high energy. My belly is full of chicken noodle soup. I'm slightly caffeinated. I'm feeling pretty good. So I'll start with a story. I started UAV Coach in 2014 after I had a very bad experience with a small unmanned aerial system. I'll tell the abridged version of the story. I bought a DJI Phantom 1 for my cousin. I go over to his apartment. I think to myself, I'm a smart guy. I've been flying remote control boats, well, not flying boats, but operating remote control boats and cars and little helicopters that my uncle bought me when I was young. How hard could it be, right? I plug this thing into the wall, I wait 15 or 20 minutes, and then I take it outside. I crashed this $500 drone within 10 seconds of flying it in downtown Manhattan, New York City. I crashed it into a parked car. And I'm not saying this lightly. You know, I used to be very embarrassed to tell that story. It took me many, many months of being in the drone industry to actually talk about this story. It really shook me up. I went home that night, and I was shaking, and I had trouble sleeping, and I started reading about the drone industry. And what I realized is that these things are taking off, pun intended, of course. And I started reading about the opportunities. I looked at companies like DJI. I looked at blogs and forums, and I could just sort of sense that this industry was burgeoning, and I decided to start this community of pilots called UAV Coach, where our focus is education. Our focus was really making sure that students did not have the same experience that I did when I first got into drones. So today we boast one of the largest communities of drone pilots on the internet superhighway. We've got a little over 30,000 subscribers. And our goal is pretty simple. We just try to help new pilots break into the drone industry. Whether you're picking up a multi-rotor or fixed-wing aircraft for the first time and just learning how to fly, or you're thinking about integrating drones into your business, or just looking, for a way to stay up to date with technological developments and industry news. So we do a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
That's great. That's great. That's a lot of followers. That is a tremendous amount of followers, and I'm on your website. You can probably see that. And this is a nice website. You've got really easy navigation, and that's great. Now, is this you in the sandals here and on the website?
It is.
That is you.
I probably should be wearing closed-toed shoes.
It's right before you crashed, isn't it? That is the look of consternation.
Exactly. Exactly. Bonus points to anybody who knows what system I'm flying. I'll give you a hint. It's not a DJI system that I'm flying in this.
I was going to say, is that I have no idea. I have no idea what that is.
So this is the unique Typhoon G. I tested this model last year. It's compatible with the GoPro Hero 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big fan of Unique. It's Y-U-N-E-E-C. They've got a new hexacopter that they came out with over the summer that I'm really looking forward to flying in the next week or so.
That's really cool. That's really nice. Now, how long have you guys been in business?
Since 2014, so coming up on 2 years.
Wow. And I have to ask, are you in any capacity? Are you a pilot? Are you a private pilot? Did you go and get your 333?
So the answer is no and yes.
Okay. Okay, good.
I do not have a background in manned aircraft aviation. So at the same time, I did apply for a 333 exemption just to go through the process and to understand what it would be like. At the time, I was actually an independent reseller for 333 exemption services. So I wanted to go through it myself through the provider that I was working with at the time. And we put 60 or 70 pages of paperwork together, submitted it to the FAA, waited about 6 months and 2 or 3 days, not that I was counting or anything, and received the exemption. And as you know, and as we'll likely talk a little bit more about, I couldn't use it. My company had the exemption, but because I did not have a manned aircraft pilot license, I couldn't actually operate under the exemption. So there were a few other folks who I'm affiliated with who flew underneath our exemption. They have manned aircraft pilot licenses, and we worked together to ensure that we were all complying. But you know, I've been sitting on my thumbs, you know, for a very long time, looking forward to being able to operate commercially, and I'm happy to say that that day should come very soon.
So you have actually never operated yourself commercially. What got you thinking about, obviously, well, when there was talk about 107, you know what, I've got a bunch of questions here. Do you happen to know, we'll just get this out of the way, if your 333 waiver has not been approved, is there any hope for those that are still waiting? Is the FAA still approving and going through the backlog, or what's going on there? Do you have any insight for us?
I do. So the FAA posted a letter. If you're waiting on a 333 exemption and you submitted your application, you should have what's called a docket number. And that's accessible at regulations.gov, so www.regulations.gov. The FAA has most likely posted a letter to your docket basically saying that if your operation, if the exemption you put together can be conducted under the new rule, then your petition is going to be closed out. If the paperwork that you put together requires some kind of waiver, like you asked to be able to fly at night, or you asked to be able to fly beyond visual line of sight, something about your paperwork, you're not able to operate fully under Part 107, the FAA should be contacting you with specific information about the status of your exemption.
Wow.
So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, because I know what certain people might be thinking when they're hearing this.
The money I spent on my exemption is out the window.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think what I'm personally more frustrated with, and you know, I've got to give the FAA credit for the amazing amount of work that they've done at lightning speed, considering normal governmental processes over the last several months. I'm very, very impressed. However, I was a little underwhelmed with the Section 333 transition to Part 107, and you know, the FAA has our email addresses, they have our phone numbers. Why are they sort of posting a letter to the docket and hoping that people will know to check this information out on their docket and know how to interpret, you know, the letter? So I know a lot of folks have been kind of waiting in the dark, but chances are, if you go to regulations.gov and you type in your company name or your first name and your last name, you'll be able to find your docket if you haven't seen it yet, and you'll be able to read this letter, which I believe was posted on June 21st or June 22nd.
Okay. All right. So they should hear something back. So 107 is the way to go, no matter how you look at it. What about those of us? What about those? You know what? I'm going out of order here because I have a little note that I wanted to. For those of you that are thinking, you know, should I offer this? I just wanted to show, as many of you know, over at Blue Lava Media, we got into this. I got an exemption set up. Let me go back to here and show you some of the cool stuff I did on my website, which I'm getting a new website, by the way. I'm really excited. I can't wait to show you guys when it's done. I'm really picky, though, and it's taken a long time. Let me go to real estate. So we've got, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong spot. Don't even know my own site. Real estate pricing. We have this new book now button, and it's pretty cool, and it works really well for the drone. So we do $150 for a package if they order one of our photo packages, and then it's $259 if they order just a drone only. And then they book now, and this goes to a pretty cool little Google form that I would recommend you guys all check out. This thing's really awesome. So they can select their package, what they're going to get, and I let them know, hey, this one here can only be purchased with a virtual tour. You have to have an existing tour. So this one's no tour package necessary. But we still let them order this one if they want extra photos, which is cool. So name, phone number, email, property address. You guys are going to find out, those of you especially that aren't offering this yet, you've got to be exact, because vacant land, you shoot the wrong property. You got to have all this stuff really organized, and that's what this does. Single-family home, vacant lot, other special instructions, and when they submit that, whiz, bang, boom, it goes to this, and it puts it on this drone log, which is really awesome. This is all automated. It doesn't fill in all of it, but it actually, Heather, my wife, assigns it to a my wife actually assigns it a date entered, and then Tom, our drone pilot, will assign it to himself. JL is Jake Lasowski, one drone pilot. It's not me. And then TA is Tom Aug. And so he and Jake split them up. And so that's kind of how that works. It's pretty cool. So to just kind of get where I'm going with this, if you guys have been thinking about this and is it going to be a good opportunity, if there's other people in your area doing it, I can guarantee you that you're going to make a ton of money off of this. And I want you all to succeed. I want you guys to find lots of success in everything you do. And I want you to build strong businesses, because having strong virtual tour providers out there is kind of at our core. We want you to be strong and have nice websites and be the latest and greatest. So we've got a bunch here already waiting to be shot. These are waiting to be shot. But then when you look at our archive, this is where it's like really impressive. Like, these are all the shoots that we've done since, like, it took off in June. Like, literally took off for us in June. You can see all these shoots that we've done for a lot of different agents. We're almost to our 150th drone shoot. And you can see some of them are at the $259 level, and some of them are at the $159 level. They average out to $179, so we've brought in about $25,000 so far, about $500 or $600 just shy of that in overall revenue. So if you're thinking about this, should I buy a $1,200 drone? Should I buy a $2,000 drone and start offering this? The answer is yeah, you should definitely get into this, and you should do what it takes, because there's a lot of money here. And if you're in the property marketing business, for you just to partner with somebody, I think you're leaving money on the table. So I think you guys should definitely have a division and do this. Now, I should also say that we're talking to two really, really high-end resorts right now that are up here that are in the vicinity of $10,000 to $15,000 projects. So there's big money in the other commercial side of this. And if you go to our website and click commercial pricing, you will see that when you get into drone for commercial, I charge a lot more, $750 for 1 minute and 10 photos. So, okay, enough about me. Let's we'll get back to some of the questions here. Let's talk a little bit about 107. I have a question here that you probably know the answer to. Is in your opinion, Alan, is 107 just going to flood out my market with drone competitors? You had a great answer for this when you and I were talking the first time, because I threw it out there, because that's my fear, of course, obviously.
Yeah, I love this question. So I think the answer is probably not. And the reason I say that, and I think this response is going to resonate with a lot of people listening. You know, just anecdotally, I'm on the phone all day. I'm answering emails all day from people who are interested in getting into the drone industry. The vast majority of people I speak to do not have any kind of photography or videography background. That's huge. I think a lot of people are really sort of undervaluing that component of what it means to run an aerial photography or videography business, is understanding how to work with a client, knowing how to storyboard, knowing, for one, many of you already have businesses that you're operating, so just running through the trials and tribulations of setting up a business entity and an accounting framework, and I'm sure a lot of you are sort of nodding your heads. It takes a while to kind of wrap your head around this if you're a solopreneur, if you're a small team. I've gone through it a few times myself. So I think that, yes, the numbers that you're going to see in the news over the next several weeks and months are going to be remarkable when we're talking about the number of people flying, the number of drones drones that are being registered, the number of people who are going to get their certification. But as far as building a business goes, I think we're going to start to see some separation. I think what's going to happen is a lot of certified drone pilots might very easily be able to get that first job or that second job based on their neighbor or their friend's friend at work. And then is that really going to turn into a long-term sustainable business? Maybe, but my gut tells me that only a few people are really going to rise to the top. I think that the people listening to this webinar who have photography businesses, who have videography businesses, who have that experience, y'all are the ones who, and I say y'all because I'm from the South, it comes out every once in a while, y'all are the ones who really are positioned to succeed in this industry. And you know, we can talk about other use cases as well. It's obviously not just photography and videography. A drone is a flying sensor. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. You can work with construction companies and do volumetric surveys. You can work with farmers and do precision agriculture work. And I know a lot of this is probably outside of the scope of what everyone's doing now, but what I'm trying to say is you have the background, you have the business background already. You know what it's like to work with a client. You have those standard operating procedures and contracts and forms in place. And all you really need to do is just kind of get certified and learn a new system. You're really just learning a new camera system. Mm-hmm. It's no different than switching from Canon to Panasonic, right? I don't know if that's the best analogy, but hopefully that resonates.
Yeah, that'll work. I'm not a photographer, so that definitely jives with me. You know, my biggest question is, and I was a little put out because I spent a lot of time writing my 333. And there's people on the show that spent a lot of money going for their 333. And why should we do 107? What's the benefit of any of us following 107 when the FAA, when I say the FAA was completely unable to enforce anything with the 333 to begin with? In my mind, the last guys laughing are the people that just didn't do anything and just flew, and it upset me because I wanted to guide my network in the right direction, and I'll just take it from there.
Yeah, you know, we ran a survey earlier this year. We surveyed over 1,500 drone pilots in the U.S. who either were already operating commercially or planning to operate commercially, and something like 52 or 53% of those operating commercially weren't actually operating under the provisions of a 333 exemption. So what happened was these regulations kind of bred this culture of non-compliance, and it was really frustrating for guys like you and me, and I imagine a lot of people listening in who want to play by the rules. And so one thing I will say is that if you do have a 333 exemption, you're the only person who can legally fly right now. You know, everybody started taking their Part 107 test yesterday. The regulations just went into effect yesterday, but no Part 107 certificates have been issued to non-manned aircraft pilots. So you still have a few more weeks of being able to be the only commercially legit operator. So there's something to be said there. What I will say is that if you have a 333 exemption, you can keep flying under that exemption. Your exemption has an expiration date. It's 24 months. So whatever date your exemption was issued, you can keep choosing to operate under that exemption if you'd like. The Part 107 regulations offer some advantages. So even if you're bitter that you didn't get a 333 or you waited for months to get your 333 and now you're being told to get your Part 107 license, good news. And you know, Jason, maybe you can speak to this a little bit because you have been operating under a 333. It's administratively laborious, right? You have to file a NOTAM before every flight. You have to send monthly reports into the FAA. There's just a lot. There's a lot that you have to do, and even with your exemption, sorry, that's my dog barking in the background. Even with your exemption and a blanket COA, you still can't fly within 5 miles of an airport, or 3 or 2 miles, depending on what kind of airport you are. So it's still very limiting. If you look just at the airspace in the U.S. and what airspace you're allowed to fly in under kind of a blanket 333 exemption versus a blanket Part 107 certification, the airways have opened way up with Part 107. The FAA is basically saying now, don't worry about how far away you are from an airport. just make sure you're flying an uncontrolled Class G, Class Golf airspace. And there's some instances where you can operate in controlled airspace. But what I'm trying to say is the Part 107 is just it's a lot more streamlined from the administrative side of things.
Okay. So who would be now policing this stuff? Is it the local law enforcement? So if I show up at a house and I look over and I'm getting ready to film a home, and I look over and I know there's a guy pulls up and I know he operates illegally. I know he doesn't have the 107. He never got his 333. Who's policing him?
Yeah, so there's a few things that can happen. I've actually talked to a few of our community members who have blown the whistle on operations, not necessarily because it's competition, but because it's competition and the person was operating recklessly, and they felt compelled to blow the whistle. If you know somebody is operating illegally, the easiest thing to do would be to contact your local FSDO office, and you can just type in FSDO in Google. FSDO stands for Flight Standards District Offices. It's kind of the regional hub of the Federal Aviation Administration of the FAA, and there's a bunch of them all over the U.S. So it's a good idea to FSDO, yeah, Flight Standards District Offices. So
there it is.
It's a bit of policing from them. It's a bit of policing from local law enforcement. I mean, to those of you who have not operated a drone publicly, what's going to happen is that as soon as you bring this flying lawnmower up into the sky, you're going to have people tap you on the shoulder. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just want to let you know you are going to draw a lot of attention. So definitely get well-versed in your regulations, definitely get well-versed in your system. People are going to literally come up to you and tap you on the shoulder while you're in the middle of taking off or landing. So just make sure to sort of maintain situational awareness and safe flight and operation, and just know that you're going to attract a lot of attention. So do not be surprised if a police officer wants to know what you're up to and wants to check out your credentials. I think we're going to see a lot more of that happen over the next several months. I think part of the reason you asked me that question is because frankly, the FAA has been pretty light on enforcement. They've been kind of soft over the last several months.
Yep,
right?
that's why. That is why. So I was okay. They didn't do anything the first time, and I have heard, not through you or anywhere on your website, but through other people, that they're leaving it up to local law enforcement, and so maybe having that credential, it will be something that you're going to have to pull out and show a police officer at some point. At Blue Lava, I will say, almost 150 shoots split between two pilots. Under our belt, we've had 4 encounters. And we're a small operation, I know. This is our first year, but we've had 4 encounters just with people that want to know. And both of my pilots have binders, and they pull out the binder and they show our name, our number, our waiver number, and it does put some people at ease, but we have had concerned citizens while they're doing their thing. So I can attest to that. So I'm not sure who's going to be the one approving these or policing it, but I suppose at the end of the day you're better off to have a badge in your wallet. No, do you get a badge with this? Do they give you some kind of a stamp, a badge? Is it something on your driver's license? What do they give you?
Sure. So there's 2 things that you'll need. One is you need to make sure that you're flying a registered aircraft. So even if you're operating just recreationally, in a local park or in your backyard, if your drone weighs over 0.55 pounds, so if it weighs over half a pound, it needs to be registered with the FAA. It's a very simple registration. Okay. It's $5. You get an electronic card that you can print out. They don't send you anything in the mail, but you get an electronic card that you can print out and laminate or put in your wallet or whatever. And you have an aircraft registration number, and that number can be applied to multiple aircraft. Now when you're operating, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do you go into that in your course and on your website? Do you teach us how to do that?
I do, yeah.
The registration,
I mean, it's very easy. Yeah, I mean, again, this is one of those instances where I'm very impressed with the FAA. They rolled out this online registration process in December of last year. It used to be this N number, Part 48 registration process where you have to fill out a piece of paper and submit it and wait 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, it's pain in
It
the
was
butt.
like watching paint dry because I tried to register 2 of mine. I got 1 N number for one of my birds, and I'm in this endless game of tennis with some machine at the FAA now that just keeps sending stuff back. It's terrible.
It's like
really a waste of time.
It's such a classic example of bureaucracy. When I applied I traveled to Russia a few years ago, and when I applied for my Russian visa, I used blue ink instead of black ink, and they rejected my application. And that's kind of how I felt with this Part 48 and number registration process. If you don't use the right letters or you don't get your margins right, they'll send it back and say do it again.
So based on what I've heard, if you have your 333, and you're me, okay, I have 2 pilots. I'm working closely with my local college, which has an aeronautical course, which has a drone course. I'm working with them. I have pilots, so I have a system that's working. But with you have your 333, and you want to be able to do this yourself. So the big question is, if you have your 333 and you want to do this, and you're not a pilot or you don't already have something that you've ironed out, you do need to do this. You should do it. I recommend it, having that card. But what about, I've got 2 years. What happens if I do this earlier? Do I lose my 333?
That's a great question. So you can choose to operate under your 333, or you can choose to operate under Part 107. So I would treat every operation as a separate operation, and if you are flying under your 333 on a Monday, you could fly under a Part 107 on a Friday. I say this with an asterisk. I am not an aviation attorney. I am an opinion of one. That's how I am interpreting the rules. I would absolutely consult with an aviation attorney if you have questions about operating with one and the other one at the same time. What the FAA makes very clear in their FAQ page on their website is that you cannot use your 333 exemption and operate under the Part 107 rules at the same time. So you can't mix and match provisions from one and the other. But I'm under the impression that you can operate one day and then the other the next day. I'm not really sure. I don't have a good use case as to why you'd want to do that.
Yeah, I don't really either. I mean, everything, and that begs the next question that I wrote for you. What does 107 have over the 333? Tonight on the show you've listed you don't have to have pilots. So that's huge. That's huge. That's a huge piece. You can have anybody. Now, if you're a company, does every person operating your drone have to pass this test?
That's a really important distinction. So the Part 107 certification is attached to an individual. It's not attached to a company. So we're working with companies now that are getting multiple pilots certified. If you dive into the Part 107 regulations, and I got to be careful because I don't want to get into the weeds here, but there's different distinctions of different crew members. So there's the remote pilot in command. There's the visual observer. There's the person manipulating the controls. The FAA has left this somewhat flexible in the sense that, let's say you and I are working for the same company and you're certified and I'm not certified. You could stand next to me and I could actually operate the aircraft while you oversee my operation. And even though I'm not certified, I can still fly the aircraft. But it kind of defeats the purpose if both of us have to be on site at the same time. Why wouldn't I just go ahead and get certified? So I think what's happening is companies are kind of deciding, who should serve as the remote pilot in command and just kind of rolling it out pilot by pilot.
Right. Well, so no pilots, no filing of NOTAM, no need to send monthly reports, and no it feels like it's less regulated. What about proximity to the airports? So when you said as long as you're in class a G airspace, if I'm a layman and I don't know different airspaces, how am I going to find that out? Do I have to go buy a flight map?
You know, you could. I like to use a website called skyvector.com, and you can actually pull it up, and we can look at an example together. You know, pull up Traverse City, and let's see what we got, because I want to show you an example of where Part 107 kind of wins out as far as operable airspace. So at the top left, there's a little search, and you can type in Traverse City, or if you happen to know the 3-digit airport code.
Yeah, I'm already there. It's coming right up on it.
Right.
Yeah, it used my IP address, I think, to find it, but we're right here, and this is our airport. This right here, where the tip of my mouse is where actually right here is where I'm speaking to you from. So it's pretty sweet.
Great.
Yeah, this is
very
great.
cool. So
this is a cool site.
Welcome to the world of sectional charts. If you plan to get certified, you are going to have to become a master at understanding what all these icons and lines and colors mean. It is fun stuff. So just to give you an example, west of Traverse City, you see the Empire Airport?
Mm-hmm. I'm from Empire. That's funny. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Very cool. So
raised.
Because this is a magenta circle, this is an untowered airport. So it's a small local airport. It's untowered, and under a Section 333 exemption, you would not be allowed to operate within a few miles of that airport. I think it's, you know, I'm a little fuzzy now. I think it's 3 miles of an untowered airport, maybe, or
yeah.
It's either 3 or 5 miles.
Like that.
But unless you have a COA that allows you to do so, under Part 107, that's Class G airspace. That is Class G uncontrolled airspace. So you do not need any special permission. If you were certified under Part 107, you can literally take your multi-rotor and hang out on the runway of the airport and fly around.
Great.
Now,
how about here? How about this golf course right here, right where my mouse is? What if they wanted to order a shoot from me? What do I do if under 107? I'll tell you what I do. I'll tell you what I do under my 333. My pilots file NOTAMs, and we work with the TVC, which is the Traverse City Ground Control Traverse City Airport, and we file a NOTAM, and we let them know where we're going to be, and they're cool about it, and we get written permission, and we can do it. So how about what happens with the 107? Can I do this golf course?
You can, and you do not need permission from that airport because you were outside. You are not in Class D. You are not in Class Delta airspace, that blue dashed line around the airport.
Oh, so right here. Okay.
But one thing to keep in mind, and this is more of a sort of a certification test prep question than it is for how most folks would operate. But that golf course, that black dot, is in Class E, is an Echo airspace. But Class E airspace starts at 700 feet when you're inside this sort of magenta, it's called like magenta scuds. You see that magenta sort of fuzzy outline that surrounds the airport, and it's not a circle, it's just kind of like a very large magenta shape.
I think so. You're talking...
Yes. Yep. Where you're tracing your mouse right now. Yeah. So anything on the inside of that is Class Echo airspace, where the floor of that airspace is 700 feet. So as long as you're flying under 700 feet, you're in Class G uncontrolled airspace, and you really just have to maintain situational awareness and make sure you survey your scene and follow all those other smart standard operating procedures. But as far as
how about the bulk of the homes in Traverse City, there's a lot of beautiful homes right here on the peninsula. Now I'm here at the base of the peninsula under Section 107. How do I photograph right here where my mouse is?
So good news and bad news. The good news is that the process for asking for permission is a lot more streamlined than it used to be. The bad news is that there is a process for asking for permission. So
that's not bad, because right now we have to file NOTAMs with so go ahead. This is great.
Yeah, so just yesterday, on Monday, August 29th, the FAA published an airspace authorization form, and it's also a waiver form. And basically, at a high level, it's saying, look, you're a Part 107 licensed pilot, or you're about to be a Part 107 licensed pilot. If the existing provisions do not meet your particular operational requirements. If you need to fly in controlled airspace, if you need to fly at night, if you need to fly beyond visual line of sight, if you need to fly directly over people, you need to ask for permission. So you go on the FAA's website, you fill out a form. The expectations that they're setting right now is that it could take up to 90 days, so 90 days. Hopefully, with airspace requirements and given your background, if they were to see your application come through, I believe they're looking at these on a case-by-case basis right now. You would likely not have to wait 90 days, but it's really kind of a wait-and-see attitude that a lot of us have right now, just because it's hard to understand how many of these the FAA are going to be processing.
That's great. Okay, so let's talk about this. Of course, you're here tonight. You're very knowledgeable, Alan. You're promoting your company. We have RTV has aligned ourselves with you as a strategic partner because we have we've looked at your company. And we actually, Graves, are you there? We have a very special guest tonight on the show. I think I just heard him cough a few minutes ago. Are you there, Graves?
I'm here.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that's great. Kid Dynamite. Kid Dynamite. Now, those of you that are on the show that don't know where he got that nickname, Graves was one of our first customers to breach the 100,000 mark, and so he got the name Kid Dynamite. And I'm trying to think, that was '07 maybe when we had that talk show, and I interviewed you. And Graves called me up this morning, and that's why I had to have him on the show. And he said, Jason, I got great news. I just passed my test yesterday. And I said, oh, that's amazing. You passed your 107 test? He said, yep, I'm good to go. And I said, now, who did you go through? Graves and I had not talked. Graves had no idea. I was talking with Alan. Graves ended up, this is serendipity here. Graves went through UAV coach, and I said, Graves, you got to step on the show tonight because I think everybody wants to hear what your experience is and why you chose, and I'm going to ask Alan in a minute how to do this on my own. And then Graves, tell us what made you not do this on your own, and what made you pick UAV coach, and how did it go?
All right. Well, I got to say thank you, Alan. You put together a fabulous program. I
really appreciate it. I'm in awe that you're on the show right now. It's amazing. What a great surprise.
So I'm also a realtor as well. And so one of my realtor friends who is huge in the UAVs, he actually sent me the link, and I signed up for the class. So my experience is basically Alan puts together excellent instruction to whether you're a visual learner. He's got videos, he's got the text. You can download everything. And he goes step by step through all the classes, and then you have quizzes at the end of each section, and then a quiz at the end of each chapter, and then you have 5 practice tests that are wonderful. And the great thing about it is you put in your name, you put in your email address, you take the test, it times it for you so you know how much time it took, and then it breaks down what areas you did well in, what areas you didn't do well in, gives you the incorrect answers as well as what the correct answer was, so you can go back. And my experience through taking the class is you got to study, and this whole thing, and after taking the test, you can't take this test lightly. It is very challenging. And Alan actually, he stresses this throughout pretty much every section of go through the section multiple times, go through the materials multiple times, and I did. I mean, I went through the whole thing probably 2 or 3 times. So
yeah, I could pull up your video, and I could pull up your video engagement here and actually see that you have gone through the course many times. So kudos to you for being a model student.
Yeah.
And those of you that do you mind if I put you on the spot here and pull up your I'm pulling up your map here, Graves. Graves does a lot of tours. He's been the only RTV virtual tour provider in the Rehoboth Beach area with RTV for I don't know how many years. You've got several thousand tours under your belt. You do a lot. And
been with RTV since 2002.
That's what I told Alan
Coming
today.
Up 14 years.
Yeah. It's amazing. So, yeah. Well, I was really happy to hear. Any advice, Graves, that you have for people? Because Alan and I are going to talk here about heading this up on your own. Because I know that there's going to be a few people out there that want to go out. In fact, I have questions in my feed. Is this something I can do on my own? If so, where would I get started?
Well, I'm gonna preface with I had past aeronautical experience. I was a navigator in the Coast Guard 20 years ago on C-130s. So, I wasn't going into it with absolutely no aeronautical experience, and that helped. It helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, this isn't like going and getting your driver's license or your safe boater's course or anything like that. It is, it's tough. And, I would say take Alan's course, go through it, and you're going to have to go through it multiple times. And depending on what kind of learner you are, if you're a visual learner or you go by text, he's got it all there for you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very serious, and when you think you know it, go through it again.
Well, Graves, so you passed.
I did pass.
What did you get flying colors? I mean, did your mom give you? Did you get a stamp when you got? I mean, did you get 100?
You know what?
Did you get 100%? What'd you get?
I got it. No, I got it. I got an 82.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I've heard it's pretty tough, so I'm a little bit nervous. I've talked to my wife about it, and I'm kind of thinking about whether or not I should go do it. We've come to the conclusion that I'm so busy right now with tech and development, and I got a new Blue Lava website that I'm going to do 333 for a while, and I'm going to watch, and I'm going to try to guide you guys the best I can. But I've got 333, so I've got kind of a hall pass for a little bit, even though we clearly showed several instances here tonight where, I mean, I know I'm going to have to do it. I only have 24 months, but not having to, I love my pilots, and I hope that they stick with Blue Lava for a long time, but I like the not filing of NOTAMs and all the other stuff, and the monthly reports to the FAA, and there's a lot of little benefits there. But good job. That's really good.
Well, I mean, I wasn't. I haven't been on the webinar the whole time, but from a tour builder standpoint, it's advantageous for everybody to get certified, because it will put money in your pocket.
Hey, Graves. What are you expecting? Are you expecting 20, 30 grand your first year? Are you expecting numbers like that? I would imagine with your tour numbers, you would probably be at least in the 20s, I would think.
It would be, I think it would be right around 20. I mean, but it could take off.
Well, I think we need to say that's just real estate. I've got two people that have posted an 83 and an 88 that they got. So it's not an easy test, folks. I got two other people, 83, 88. And what did you get? You got 83?
Yeah, 82.
82. All right. So and you have to. What do you have to get on the thing? A 70? Oh, there's a 76. 70. There's a 76er. So I'm seeing people post stuff, and so a few people hey, thank you for coming. A few people have actually passed and came to tonight's show, and that means a lot to me. Thank you for coming.
You think of it this way: you've got 60 questions in 2 hours, and the most you can miss is 18. I think is the calculation.
That's right. Yep.
Paul,
You get,
Paul, Alan, do you, I said Paul because it's Graves' father. Alan, do you have to take the test, you have to take the test every so often, is that right? How often do I have to take this test?
Yeah, so there's two types of tests. There's the initial test and then the recurrent test. So the initial test, you just take once. It's your initial aeronautical knowledge test. You have to take it at an in-person testing facility. There's like 690 or so of them all over the U.S., so you find the one that's closest to you. It's a $150 testing fee, and it's rolling. So whenever you're ready to take it, you can start taking it as of yesterday at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And every 24 months, every 2 years, you have to get recertified, and the FAA hasn't actually put out too much information yet about what the recurrent test is going to look like. I think the rules, frankly, the rules are going to change a lot in the next 2 years. But the idea is that that test will likely focus more on regulatory updates and less on airspace and reading weather depiction charts and things like that.
I got another person that posted they got a 72. So, you know, it's a split, and it seems like it is difficult, on the more difficult side. It doesn't seem like it's impossible, or I don't have anybody here. If there's anybody that came to tonight that didn't pass, I will keep your name private, but put it up there for us. Let us know if you got to go take it again. Can you take it multiple times? I would imagine you can.
You can. You have to pay the testing fee again, so it's another $150, and you have to wait 2 weeks. You have to wait for 14 days. But yeah, you can take it as many times as you'd like. There's no cap.
Once we take it, how long does it take to get certified? I think you said it earlier on the show, but I think you said it's a few weeks for them to send you your...
It's TBD, because you know, the FAA will offer one-time estimate, and then something else might happen. So here's what the expectations are. You pass your test, you wait anywhere between like 24 and 72 hours for that test score to make its way into the FAA's IACRA system, and then you go onto IACRA.com, not.com, you go onto the IACRA website, it's linked to from FAA.gov, and you fill out your remote pilot certificate application. Once you press apply, the FAA puts you through a TSA background check. Their expectation is that should take about 10 days or 14 days. So long-winded answer, but it should be a couple of weeks. You should be able to pass your test and they get certified in a couple of weeks.
And you don't have to have any medical training, or I'm sorry, medical testing, do you?
No medical check, and ironically, not ironically, somewhat, I was very interested by this. There's no flight proficiency component. You know, when you got your pilot license, you had to sit in a manned aircraft with a certified flight instructor for a certain number of hours. With drones, there's no kind of instructor sign-off. There's no flight proficiency component. I found that very interesting. We have a lot of students who have never operated a non-manned aerial system before getting certified, and that's fine. But I thought that was a really interesting move by the FAA to do that.
For sure. For sure. Okay, so you know, Graves answered on his. I've got some people thinking that Graves is a pilot. Graves, can you restate your past experience 20 years ago?
20 years ago, I was a navigator, United States Coast Guard.
In the Coast Guard. Okay, so you you were familiar with the maps. Probably
very familiar with the sectional charts and all that. So I mean,
do you have any aviation experience? Do you ever take pilot's lessons or training?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I just wanted to clear that up because there are a couple of people. Alan, so with regards to if you're a pioneer and you want to do this on your own, does the FAA give me any bones to chew on to study? And if they do, if I wanted to do this all on my own, how would I go about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I will be the first to let one of our prospective students know that our program is not required by the FAA to get certified. You know, taking an online training course is one of many ways that you have to study for this test. To the FAA's credit, again, I really applaud them for doing this. They put out a study guide last week. It's like 80 or 90 pages.
Mm-hmm.
It's more or less copied and pasted from their various reference documents and handbooks and advisory circulars. It's a lot of what you need to know. It doesn't go too in-depth as far as sectional charts and interpreting some of the aviation weather information source reports, but it's a really good start.
You would Google FAA, what would you Google on that? Part 107 study guide?
Yeah, I'm actually curious what comes up if you do that. Try that, and then I can tell you where to go here. Yeah, that first link, actually.
That looks like federaldroneregistration.com. It looks like this first organic.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, great.
And then
that's what I thought.
If you go back, actually, just to the search engine listings, the link below that is a sample exam. So the FAA put out a
look at 40, that. Okay, this is great.
Sample exam.
I Googled FAA Part 107 study guide. You got the manual and the test exam right there, 1 and 2. Awesome.
Yep. And a really good way to study is to just work your way through those 40 questions and teach some concepts along the way. It's a small representation of what you could be hit with during the test, but it's a really good way to start studying.
Do you want to show a little bit of the back end on your testing? I could change the presenter. We're after 8. We can go just a few minutes over. I can change the presenter over to you if you want to show your back end and stuff.
Sure. Just give me 1 second to get set up here.
Okay. While he's doing that, folks, I'll take the opportunity. All of you here, if you want to visit Alan's site, you can go into your tour manager. And I'm going to toot my horn. Hoot, toot. We got a lot of tours. What are we, though? But we're still only 20 and 19 for the year. I added a link here down under our preferred vendors, if you can all see that. And it's a link that goes right to his website for the training course. Since we're at the tail end of the show, Alan's course, UAV Coach, is normally a $300 course. If you're an RTV provider, in fact, let me see here, the course is at, you can see here, it got my cookie, didn't it? The $249, it got the 17% off. I don't know how to clear that out. But if you were to go to, UAVcoach.com and click on Drone Pilot Ground School. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and you'll end up on this website, and you click Enroll in Training. You'll normally see $299, and Alan and I are working very closely together. He's giving any RTV provider basically a 17% discount, so it's $249 for the course. If you guys want to take it, you're more than welcome to, and that's how you get there. You can get there right through your dashboard in Fusion by clicking on our preferred drone 107 vendor, which is UAV Coach. So
awesome! I'm really excited to do this partnership with you. I'm logged into the back end. If you want to pass screen.
All right, passing screen over to you right now. Cool.
Okay, and just let me know. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. So I'm not going to spend too much time going through this, but I do know that people like to see the inside of what the user experience is. It's an online course. So if you've taken an online course before, there's modules. There are lectures within those modules, and we've got a getting started section. We go into the regulations, which is a big part of what you need to understand if you plan to operate. Not just to pass your test, right? I'm thinking beyond the test, right? You really need to internalize these Part 107 regulations. As Graves mentioned, we've got quizzes at the end. Let me just hop into Part 107 operating rules to show you.
I like the progress bar there on the left, too. It shows how close you are to being done. That's cool.
Yeah, it's built into our learning management system. It's a good way to track progress. Most of our students spend like 2 or 3 weeks studying, 30 minutes here, 45 minutes there, so it's a good way to track progress. But we've got a video here with some slides, and we've got the entire lecture in text form. And if you scroll to the very bottom, We've got lecture quizzes. Every lecture has a 10-question quiz. As Graves mentioned, you can download all of our materials as well. We have a lot of students who like to work offline. And then the other big thing that I wanted to point out here, you can see how comprehensive the curriculum is, right? It's not a 1.5-hour training course that you're doing because HR is making you do it at your corporate job, right? It's a really intense course. You got to study, you got to understand radio communication procedures. Airport operations is one of my favorite lectures. Understanding the difference between a towered and an untowered airport, how to understand how runways are situated. I've had so many students reach out to me saying, do I really need to learn this stuff? And the answer is, if you want to pass the test, yes, you do.
Right.
So we've got 5 full-length practice tests, and we've got some bonus content as well.
I gotta say this. Here's a shout out. We just got a shout out. I'm going to quote Jim Allen. Jim, if you don't mind, give us your website, where you're from, and city and state. Jim Allen, I got an 82 today and would never have passed this test without Allen's ground school training.
Oh, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. That's awesome. I did not realize we had 2 people in the it's upwardaerialviews.com, and that's great. That's great. That's really nice. So, I guess great. Paul Bond is chiming in, and he said he wouldn't have passed either.
What's up, Paul?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's great. Yep, that's great. So,
that's great.
Very good. Yeah.
Very cool. And our biggest challenge right now is trying to think beyond just the test prep, because there is a lot to consider if you're bringing drones into your business. A different insurance plan, different liability insurance plan, pricing and packaging, specific legal considerations for bringing a flying lawnmower into your day-to-day business operation. So we're doing our best to add more content into the course and sort of transcend just being a test prep solution.
That's great. That's great. That's fantastic. Well, good. We are on the tail end of our time here. I'm going to ask you, do you have any drone recommendations while we're wrapping it up? What do you recommend? DJI, that's what I fly. I have Blue Lava Media has 3 drones. 2 of them are the Pro 3s. One of them's a 2 Vision Plus.
Yeah, so I like to be very transparent with this answer. Usually I say it depends. Depends on what your goals are. I know the average person who's listening in, I know what kind of work you're going to be doing. So DJI is a great platform for doing real estate and property management type photos and videos. I'd also consider Unique, YUNEEC. They came out with a hexacopter that sort of rivals the DJI Inspire as far as specs go. And I like the fact that it's a hexacopter because you get extra redundancy. So if you're operating a quadcopter where there's only 4 motors and electronic speed controls and propellers, if one of those fails, it's really difficult / impossible to have a controlled landing. If one of those fails in flight, it's going to crash. If you're flying a hexacopter where you have 2 extra arms, and you lose one mid-flight, you have redundancy, and you can actually bring it down more safely. So that's a good consideration. It's a bigger model.
Very cool.
Yeah, DJI's ecosystem is a lot larger than any other companies right now. They've got, what is it, like 60 or 70% market share around the world. Most people are familiar with DJI. A lot of accessories, a lot of forums, a lot of support. A lot of YouTube videos, which is really great. If you've never flown a system before, hop on YouTube, watch one of those unboxing videos, learn how to operate your system. But yeah, big fan of DJI. The Phantom 3 models are being overlooked right now because the Phantom 4 just came out a couple of months ago. But the Phantom 3
that's what I would say. Yeah, they were. And that's what we have.
They're much cheaper than they used to be.
So, yeah, we really like them.
If you're looking for a good starter model, consider the Phantom 3. Like, what do you fly, the Professional or the Advanced?
Yeah, the Pro.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yep. The guys really like them, and it's got the HDR built in and all kinds of cool stuff, and so yeah, very very cool. Anything else you want to show on your course here? I would like to I'll let you finish this up, and then I'll show anybody else the link to get lined up. It's dronepilotgroundschool.com/RTV. dronepilotgroundschool.com/RTV. RTV's all lowercase. So.
Awesome, very cool. You can probably see on my screen right now I've got a lot of industry articles to catch up on this week because it's a really big week for the drone industry. I'm really excited with the way things are progressing. It's been a long road for many of us who've been trying to bring this into our businesses over the last couple of years. You have succeeded going through the 333 exemption process. It's so cool to hear about what you've done at Blue Lava, and I'm excited for a lot of people listening in to be able to integrate unmanned aerial systems into what they're doing and to find success.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you. I'm going to bump it back on over here. Show my screen. I love your website. I'm going off the cliff.
Right.
That's just a sweet. Were you there? Did you actually go there?
Oh, I wish. I think that's in Iceland, actually.
So beautiful. There's the site. There's the website you guys can go to for your $50 off. And we did not talk about insurance tonight. There's a lot of other things, but Alan has some really good insurance recommendations in his course, including, and I'll just kind of give you, those of you that are signed up, on-demand insurance. So if you're photographing a golf course or a big shoot, you can actually be insured for up to $1 million, $1 million in damages at $10. Isn't it $10 an hour? It's amazing.
Yeah,
it costs. So there's some really. It is. It's on-demand insurance and I definitely recommend using it for the higher-end shoots. Again, to get over to his course, just log into your dashboard. He's already set up as a preferred vendor for RTV. Click it and go have fun. Good luck. Call me. Call Alan. If you sign up for his course, call Alan. He'll help you through. There's quite a few other, there's a lot of questions. I mean, we've got a lot of questions here.
I mean, people are more than welcome to email me directly.
Yeah.
My email address is Alan, ALAN, at uavcoach.com.
Yeah, and you can go to uavcoach.com. And you can scroll down here like I did, and is that you right there, right?
That is, yep.
That's you, okay. And you could just put you could join his mailing here, and I don't know how I found you. I must have found you somewhere. Maybe that's where I sent you your email. But anyway, that's great, and well, thank you so much, Graves. I don't know if Graves is still. Graves, are you still on the call?
Yeah, I'm still here. Mm-hmm.
Graves, thank you, and thanks to all of you out there that have reached out and said that they took the course and took the, and all of you that jumped in and said that you took it and passed. That's fantastic. This webinar will be accessible through Rockpoint Marketing. If anybody didn't make it, we've got over 120 hours. Jack is asking if there's marketing materials for the aerial drone photography. We've actually created 2 pieces so far. If you're a Rockpoint Marketing member, there's a really nice marketing piece that's a double-sided postcard, a jumbo postcard that you can send out, and then there's a piece that you can let your agent, that we've made for you, that you can let your agent put into their listing presentations, and that's a really nice piece too. And Blue Lava Media has 3 of our agents using that marketing piece. So giving your agents something during a listing presentation that's going to put them above the bar because of what you're bringing to the table. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I'm going to close it up. Thank you, Graves. Congratulations. And yeah, and like I said, it was great talking to you this morning, and thanks for showing up on the show tonight. That's awesome. And Alan, thank you. I'm happy that we were able to find you, and I'm very happy that that we could put something together between our companies. I'm hoping that everybody can get into the sky because there's a lot of money to be had, in aerial drone photography and video. I really think you guys are going to see a lot of success. You can see a lot of these here. We've got aerial shots and a lot of these thumbnails. So fun stuff. Thanks a lot, everybody, and have a great night. We'll see you again next show. I believe Beth is doing a show next at RTV, and I don't know what the topic is, but I'm sure it's going to be tantalizing and exciting. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, everybody. We'll catch you soon. All righty.